All right, what's up, YouTube? Let's see. Today we're going to be talking about body recomposition. All right, so body recomposition overall is losing body fat and building muscle. All right, it's a very complex topic, but I want to go through some of the nuances. Are you a candidate for it? Why I like it? Why I like it for people that are doing 4 to 5 watts per week and everything in between, right? So when it comes to this style of changing your body, we have to realize the importance of it, right? So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Justin. I'm the WOD nutritionist and help you lose body fat, build muscle, and crush your WODs without tracking macros, right? Here at Consistency Breeds Growth, that's what me and my other 7 coaches are focused on. We have coaches in different specialties. So today, something that we've been very intrigued by in the past, I would say about year and a half, is body recomposition. So I wanted to revisit that today live on our CBG WOD nutritionist page and also on YouTube. So what we're focused on today is understanding the details behind body recomposition, the mechanisms, the understandings that I know from the research that I've done and my team have done. And then we may do something more science-based after this, right? I want to give you guys the actual clues that you're going to need to start to understand how to do this in 2023 and why it's important for you, right? So look, when we talk about building muscle and losing body fat, they're seamlessly opposing each other, right? So we have the building muscle side where you need to be in this anabolic state. And as you're in this anabolic state, you need to be at a calorie surplus. You need to make sure that you're doing strength training. You need to be lifting heavy, progressive overload. You need to make sure you're getting enough protein. And then you go to the fat loss side where you need to be at a calorie deficit. You need to make sure that you're burning more calories than you're actually consuming, and some of these other aspects. So these two concepts are really opposing each other in a lot of ways, but it doesn't mean that we can't target both at the same time. There's sort of a phrase, it's not a phrase, it's more of a understanding out there, or sort of a metaphor for body recomposition. It's kind of like throwing a stone at 2 birds and hitting none, right? I would argue people are just not patient enough with body recomposition to see the results, especially if they're putting together some of the different tools and things that I'm going to be providing today. All right. So body recomposition overall. All right. Body recomposition itself is the swoley grail, let's call it, right? Because it allows you to look leaner. It allows you to also look stronger. And from it, you should see drastic performance improvements in your WODs, right? Because you're getting stronger, which means you should be able to PR more lifts or lift at a higher capacity in your workouts, right? Be it the creatine phosphate system, whatever it looks like. But then also you're getting lighter. So your gymnastics muscle endurance should also be improving. Maybe you get that first muscle up. I know the open's coming up. So we want to be able to implement a lot of these different things, right? Now, I'll tell you this, if you're trying to achieve body recomposition for the open, you're too late, right? It doesn't mean that you making nutritional changes currently is not going to benefit you. However, you're too late. You should have started back, I would say, probably where a lot of our open athletes or people that care about the open, they work with us on nutrition. They're really starting to give a crap about this in September timeframe, right? So September timeframe is typically critical, but it doesn't mean you can't start making gains now. The best time is today, right? So with body recomp, all right, these are people that are more subject to reaching body recomposition goals, and then there are people that are not, okay? So I'm going to go through the different parameters of this. Now, first thing automatically comes off the bat when it comes to body recomp, at least the way that I think about it, is you're more likely to achieve body recomposition if you're untrained, okay? So if you haven't been working out super hard, you just kind of go through the motions at your gym, if you don't do adequate levels of strength training and you're just kind of in a rut right now, right? Or you're new to training. You haven't really started training seriously. And by training, I mean training. There's a difference between workout and training, right? I mean training. If you haven't really started training or even really working out, you can start to really see benefits much more easily when it comes to body recomp than when it comes to people that are more trained, right? Imagine like Rich Froning. So Rich Froning, for example, is very lean. He also has a lot of muscle. It's going to be very difficult for him to achieve body recomposition because he already trains very hard, and he does a lot of other things that actually show, and benefit him as a whole. So it's going to be very hard for Rich Froning, but it might be a lot easier for someone like myself, right? That doesn't look like Rich Froning, that is just trying to make it to the gym 4 or 5 times per week and prioritize it correctly, especially when it comes to strength training, right? So here we are. These are the differences. So if you're more trained, you're less likely to achieve body recomposition. You may need to reevaluate your goals and say, hey, I'm shooting for fat loss, or hey, I'm shooting for building muscle. You're going to have to pick a direction. People that are not as trained have a lot of body fat to lose, and also maybe would categorize themselves as, quote, skinny fat, would benefit from potentially body recomp because they're not in a composition place that puts them in the law of diminishing returns, so to speak. Okay. A law of diminishing returns is, you being at basically closest to your body's maximum capabilities, composition wise or athletically, performance wise. So with body recomposition, you're more likely to achieve these results if you're untrained or don't work out very hard, or maybe don't even really work out that much at all, right? So this is number one. Two, people that haven't really focused on the nutrition drastically. So it's the same. There's the fitness side of the law of diminishing returns, and then there's the nutrition side. So if you're eating tacos all the time and drinking margaritas on the weekends, and you don't really get in adequate levels of protein, and you look the way you look now, but you're prioritizing the fitness side, and you're like, oh, well, Justin, I've been training. Like I trained 2 hours a day. I've been crushing it, all this stuff, but your nutrition's not there. You have more likely of a chance of achieving body recomposition than someone, for example, that doesn't really focus at all on the nutrition side, doesn't understand their food intake, kind of eats just when they're hungry. On the weekends, doesn't have a plan, some of these aspects, doesn't prioritize pre-WOD fuel, pre-WOD carbohydrates, or timing of nutrition, doesn't take creatine, all these aspects, right? Because I consider supplementation as part of the nutrition side. So if you're not doing any of these things, you're a better candidate for body recomposition than someone who takes advantage of their nutrition, tracks their protein, and understands that they're hitting close to their body weight in grams per, in terms of their body weight in grams of protein per day. They take creatine consistently, some of these aspects, right? Next is age. So you're much less likely to achieve body recomposition if you're older, right? And there are two main sort of concerted efforts here as a reason to why it's harder to achieve body recomposition if you're older. Number one, your metabolic rate starts to slow down. I think it's under 1% per year after the age of 60. So your metabolic rate, your metabolism doesn't really slow down until you get to about 60. That's just you moving less and not eating enough actual calories and putting in work, right? But after 60, your metabolic rate inherently on its own just starts to slow down, right, at the age of 60. So therefore, you're moving less, your metabolic rate is slower, and therefore it's very difficult to lose body fat, right? Additionally, when you become as you age, right, your body becomes at risk for sarcopenia, which is muscle loss. And it's only because as we age, it's harder to get an adequate amount of strength training it takes to continue to build muscle. This is why it's so important out there. And this is especially true for female CrossFitters. You need to focus on building muscle now, because as you get older, it becomes more and more difficult, right? The mTOR pathways and a lot of the anabolic pathways, androgen receptor availability, and some of these other aspects of building muscle drastically decreases, and starts to decrease for both men and women after the age of 40. Okay. Building muscle in your 20s and 30s, even, if I had it up to me and I was like, I'm going to periodize my entire life based on a body that I want, then I would seriously just focus on building muscle primarily focus on building muscle in my 20s and 30s. And then I would focus on fat loss after that, right? It just so happens that we also want to look good in our 20s and 30s. We don't want to be We don't want to be just a big, bulky person putting on a bunch of muscle and not cutting any fat in our 20s and 30s. So there's that. But if I had to periodize my whole life, that's how I would do it, because building muscle is so important. So I would really be focusing on 80% of your year. Let's say January 2023 to December 2023, I would seriously be focused on 80 to 90% of that time frame, which is about 10 months. I would be focusing on building muscle and performance. That's what you need to be focused on, right? So I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but when it comes to recomp, right, you're less likely to really achieve the body recomposition results because your metabolic rate starts to slow as you age, and also it's harder to put on muscle as you age. Obviously, both of those variables are directly corollary to body recomposition. So it's not really possible. It's possible, but it's much harder. Okay, much harder. And we'll go through, what that looks like in a minute. So age is another factor. Look, gender is another factor. There are differences between men and women, their capabilities. Women can be strong. Women have the capability of being able to build muscle and lose body fat and go to the CrossFit Games and do all those things. But we do have to also recognize that it's harder for women to just in general build muscle, right? There's the testosterone issue. I don't want to call it an issue, but women overall typically have lower T levels than men, which is an important aspect in building muscle. And then androgen receptors. So men typically have more androgen receptors, and especially in their upper body. And because of that, they're able to build larger upper bodies and put on muscle there, right? Testosterone is sort of like the lock and key. Testosterone's the key. Androgen is the lock. And those two things have to come together for a lot of different metabolic pathways, and from there to anabolic pathways to occur. So if you have less androgen receptors, you have less testosterone in general. This is an oversimplification, but in general, this means that it's going to be less likely for you to build muscle. Therefore, body recomposition is more difficult for women than it is for men. Okay. So those are a couple of different variables that I would say impact someone's ability to build muscle, to lose body fat, and to overall change their body composition at the same time. Okay. Now, why do I like body recomposition? This is why I like it. When it comes to fat loss, a lot of people are thinking they can achieve fat loss in a short time frame, like a month. So they follow these crazy diets like keto, and they follow Whole30, paleo. They sign up for a nutrition challenge that's 4 weeks. Some of these things, right? When you sign up for some of this stuff, you're thinking you're going to get short-term results, and those short-term results are going to last. And sometimes we see people lose 10 pounds in a month or 20 pounds in a month. We're like, wow, that's amazing. We can achieve fat loss very quickly. We don't need to take our time. We can just go for this, right? But you got to realize these people are not building a lifestyle. They're literally incorporating dogmatic approaches into their life. And then from that, they're actually they're just getting temporary results, right? So we can't compare ourselves to those people if we're trying to build a lifestyle, okay? I don't know a good analogy, but I'm trying to think of one of how we compare ourselves to those people that are not doing something sustainable. It doesn't make sense. It's like, someone that buys a Ferrari, right? And it goes into debt because they buy a Ferrari, right? And we're like, oh man, we just have a Subaru. Why can't we be like this person, right? Eventually, the people come to us out and go, hey, we got to possess your Ferrari. You quit making payments, right? So you got to keep making payments. You got to keep putting in the work. You got to stay consistent. You got to stay sustainable. If you're not doing that, it's going to be really difficult. So we can't compare ourselves to these people. So when it comes to fat loss, a lot of people think they want this instant gratification. The scale's got to move down every single week. If it doesn't, then I'm failing. And therefore, people try these extremes to get to their fat loss goals. Okay, fair enough, right? So you're going to take that strategy. So you take this strategy, and from this strategy, what ends up happening is you may lose the weight, but you don't lose it consistently. And therefore, you hit a plateau much earlier than you're supposed to. And when that plateau hits, since you've been so restrictive, you bounce right back up, right? What you're investing in when you're taking this time, or you're working, like, let's say with my team and with a coach, The reason you pay us is because you want long-term results. You're investing in long-term results and skills. You're not investing in short-term results, right? So short-term results suck. We don't want short-term results. Now, when it comes to these short-term results and fat loss, a lot of people think, oh, I can do things quickly. This is great, when they actually can't. Body recomposition just has this notion around it that it's not going to be quick. You're not going to reach your body recomposition goals in 4 weeks or 6 weeks. You're going to start seeing changes with your body in 8 weeks, 16 weeks, 24 weeks, 64 weeks, right? A year, right? This sort of highlights like, oh, okay. And I like people that are in it for the long game. That's who we love working with. So when it comes to body recomposition, you're forced to be into the long game, because if your mindset is that you're in the short game, then you're not even gonna think twice about trying to do body recomposition. It doesn't make sense. So we delay our gratifications, our dopaminergic systems around that, and we know that the effort that we put in is more important than the outcome, at least at the outset, at the beginning. So I love this aspect of people going for the long term. Long term is key. So we have this long term strategy now because we've inherently chosen body recomp, and it gets people's mind off the scale as well. So with body recomp, you're building muscle and you're losing body fat at the same time. All right. And when you're doing this, the scale may not change, right? It may not change, right? The scale doesn't change, then a lot of people see that as failure, especially if they're going for fat loss, right? But when it comes to body recomposition, the scale is not going to change that much. If anything, it's going to go up, right? If anything, it's going to go up, right? So this is the whole point. We're sort of teaching people that we can reach our goals and feel more confident in our own skin and feel leaner and build a better relationship with food and our bodies, even though the scale has nothing to do with it, right? And that's a super powerful thing, because so many people are chasing a number on a scale when in actuality their true goal is to just feel comfortable in their own clothes and feel more confident, look a little bit more like they CrossFit, when that has really nothing to do with the scale. Look at one of my athletes, Jessie Harper, right? She fluctuates around 150 pounds, right? She looks absolutely amazing, right? And she works really hard, right? She works really hard. There are some people out there that are 150 pounds that look way different, right? So I'm just highlighting the differences in the scales, right? I don't like to make negative comments about anybody's body, but just take, for example, a games athlete that's 150 pounds versus somebody that in your family or whatever that's 150 pounds. Maybe you're 150 pounds, right? And you don't look like that. This goes to show that the scale is not really representative of your goals, right? Now, that body recomposition forces people to quit worrying just about the scale and actually start focusing on so many other aspects, right? Like how they're training, are they PRing, are they getting stronger? And are they looking better? Like through our pictures, our measurements, and some of these aspects, are those things happening for us, right? Are those things happening? So it's kind of cool to see that. And that's why I really love taking a body recomposition and slower approach for most people, right? Because it's certainly achievable. It's just not achievable in the time frame people actually want results for, and it's cool to commit to that type of lifestyle, and it allows to build habits slowly over time, So these are some of the reasons I like body recomp. It can also be a time saver as well for some people, but you just got to do it right. So what does doing it right mean, right? You're doing 4 to 5 watts per week. You go to your CrossFit gym. You're not seeing results. You're not seeing any results. You're like, oh man, this is bullshit. I've been here 3 years. I pay $150 to $200 for my CrossFit gym membership every single month. And from that, I've gotten nowhere, right? Maybe I learned some double unders and I can do some kipping pull-ups and stuff like that, but still my body hasn't really changed that much. And I'm not okay with that. I want to make changes, right? I want to achieve body recomposition, like you're telling me, Justin. So what do I do? What do I do to do this, right? So there's a couple different things, and it doesn't just come down to fitness. It doesn't just come down to nutrition. Some people can actually achieve fat loss just from starting to work out and focusing on fitness, and then nutrition be trash, right? I wouldn't say to do that, but some people can do it. Some people can also lose body fat just focusing on the nutrition, not focusing on fitness. For body recomp, you got to focus on both. So I'm going to go through some scenarios. Number one, nutrition wise, I'm going to give you all the different parameters, guys. I really don't care. If you can do this on your own, you better go do it, right? You owe it to yourself and to the world to go do it. For nutrition, you have to be at a calorie surplus for body recomposition. I know there's a little bit of argumentative stuff out there in regards to people, right? There's a little bit of, you got to be at a deficit to do body recomp, da 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 da. I think you have to be at a surplus. And there's a lot of research that signifies that, especially a couple of things that I've read recently, right? For trained athletes specifically. So I recommend being at 100% of your total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. 110%. So you get 110% of your total daily energy expenditure. All right. So this means that you're at a calorie surplus, means you're eating more calories than you're burning. Okay. Now, this is the key, right? This calorie surplus, right, is going to put you in an anabolic state and then a catabolic state. You're going to go back and forth between. So you're going to be in a calorie surplus, deficit, but you're mostly going to be in a surplus, right? This allows for the anabolic systems to really be at work and allow you to build the muscle. So the reason I think that you need to be in a calorie surplus over a deficit for body recomp is solely because building muscle is harder than losing body fat, right? It's a gross oversimplification, but here we are, right? It's harder to build muscle than it is to lose body fat. It's much slower. The pound wise is much slower, right, on the scale. It's usually a fourth. So like if you lose a pound a week, you're probably gaining 0.25 pounds per week if you're building muscle, right? So you need to be at a calorie surplus, and I like that surplus to come from protein. All right, Justin, so how much protein? Here's a guide for you guys. A lot of people, I'll tell you an optimal range. I think it's somewhere between 0.8 grams per pound of body weight and 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. Oh, Justin, what the hell are you talking about? You're telling me to eat over people say 1 gram is the most. Well, look, I'm just telling you what the research says. The research says we need to be over 1 gram and for some people, right? And I especially believe that this is true for CrossFitters, because basically what you're doing is HIIT training, right? If you think about CrossFit, you're at threshold or you're above threshold, especially if you're for time workouts, you're chasing your buddy, at your gym, you're trying to beat them, you're above threshold. When you're above threshold and you're doing wall balls and all these different contractions, you have a lot of muscle breakdown, just the reality of it. You have a lot of muscle breakdown. With that muscle breakdown, okay, you need to rebuild muscle tissue, not only repair it, but rebuild it if you're in body recomp, right? If you're trying to build muscle. So to do this, what do you need to do? You need to eat protein. This is what protein does, okay? So eating adequate levels of protein is good. That's why I recommend over 1 gram per pound of body weight, all right? So this means like if you're 200 pounds, you need to be somewhere between 180 grams of protein and 220 grams of protein, let's say. So I would target a little bit over your body weight. That's where the calorie surplus of 110% of your total daily energy expenditure is. So look up your total daily energy expenditure. I believe Trifecta actually has a really good calculator for understanding your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, meaning how many calories do you burn within a day. Increase that by 10%. All right. So that's your start from the nutrition side. Carbs and fat, let them fall where they may, but make sure you have a pre-workout carbohydrate in there, something realistic, for you. If you want our pre-workout carbohydrate list in our macro cheat sheet, what you can do is you can comment macro cheat sheet if you're on YouTube or on my Facebook Live on our WOD Nutritionist free Facebook group. You can just go ahead and comment macro cheat sheet, and my team will DM you. So look, you need to make sure that you're getting in a pre-workout snack. Okay, it needs to be primarily carbohydrates. So this is nutrition 101 for body recomposition. Now, fitness. This is going to piss a lot of people off, but your box probably doesn't have enough strength training. Right? So this is what happens. CrossFit boxes are trying to get you better at CrossFit. They're trying to help you build skills. They're trying to help you build speed. They're trying to help you build functionality. They're trying to get you to in ranges of motion or what your body's capable of in terms of in ranges of motion. They're trying to get you stronger. They're trying to get you pull-ups. They're trying to teach you how to do an overhead squat. They're trying to do metabolic conditioning, all this crap. right? They're trying to do a lot of stuff. That's why we love CrossFit so much, as well as for the community. When we're doing this, okay, it's very hard to get in the adequate levels of strength training required. It's no fault of the CrossFit gym, right? The gym in the box is trying to get you better at CrossFit. They're not trying to get you to achieve body recomposition. So I'm here to tell you, although I think your WODs are great and you're following Mayhem, you're following your own programming at your box, whatever it is, it likely doesn't have enough strength training, right? And I mean, with strength training, I mean 3 days per week, right? 3 days per week, upper, lower. You can shift between upper, lower, and doing. I would say for upper around 20 total sets, and for lower around the same, around 20 total sets at an RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion, of 7 or above, right? 7 or above. That's where you need to be. If you're not doing that, it's going to be really hard to achieve body recomposition. So if you're just going to your gym doing 4 to 5 watts per week, you need to change things up. Unless your gym does strength training every single time that you go in there for 30 minutes and then they have a short little Metcon or a 20-minute AMRAP, something like that, you're probably going to need to go ahead and incorporate more strength training. So I actually have a 12-week program. It's free. We create it and we give it to some of our nutrition clients and that are looking for body recomp. And I can give you guys the first 3 weeks if you want. All you have to do is comment. Just comment something like muscle building program or something like this, right? And I think if you have something, if you comment something like that or DM me something like that, I can get it over to you. I'll know what you're talking about. So we can definitely start to implement this, but you got to find a way to do more strength training, hypertrophy and strength training. All right. So this is tip 2. All right. Let's see. Tip 3, sleep. You're not going to get away with 7 hours of sleep or less. And with this level of training, right, where you're doing your strength training, you're busting your ass in your CrossFit gym and your CrossFit WODs, you're not going to be able to just get off of 6-7 hours of sleep. You got to be getting 8-9 hours of sleep if you want body recomp, right? And I'm not saying that you can't achieve body recomp without getting more than 8, but you increase your chances drastically, and that's what we need to do. We need to optimize because body recomp is hard, right? So you got to be getting in over 8 hours, I would say 8 hours or more, right? That's the threshold. So that's I would say number 3: fitness, nutrition, fitness, and then sleep. And one other thing that I think makes a lot of sense to go over is assessing results. A lot of people doing body recomp, they're expecting, because we've been doing fat loss our whole lives, right? And we're trying to lose body fat to look the way that we want. We realize that we can't do it that way. We always measure via the scale. The scale is not a terrible metric, but you need to measure in other ways, because as mentioned a little bit earlier in the podcast, you can't really understand your progress through the scale alone with body recomp, because the scale might not change. It might actually go up a little bit during that process. So what we recommend is pictures. A lot of people are like, oh, Justin, I'm going to go get an InBody and a DEXA and all this. It's like, dude, you're not running around bragging about your DEXA. You're running around taking your shirt off at your your CrossFit box. So why don't we just measure progress in the way that you want it to fit your purpose, right? Which is feeling more confident and comfortable in your own skin. You don't want to feel more confident in your DEXA scan. Who cares what your DEXA scan says? Who cares what your InBody says, your hydrostatic, whatever the hell you're doing, right? Who cares about that? You can go get that, right? It's fine in terms of measuring progress, but you could go get these scans and they're off by a little bit, and you look in the mirror and you look the same. You think you're making progress, but you're not. So why not just get pictures? They're very, very objective when you compare them side by side, especially if you send it to someone else. Hey, man, am I making progress? Am I doing this, right? Tell me what's up. Pictures are great. So implement pictures. I think that this is a great way to measure progress. It's much needed and necessary to actually track results, right? This is the last thing that I guess I'll say about body recomp. You got to be patient. And I mean, some of us are not patient even when it comes to goals that are much easier, right? Some of us, try to get a muscle up in 1 month and quit. It's like, dude, it takes people years to get muscle ups. You're going to quit already? You've just been trying 1 month, right? Some people are trying to lose 20 pounds and they quit after 1 month. It's like, man, that should be taking you, half a year. Should be taking you half a year to lose 20 pounds, right? I would say in the ballpark of 3 to 5 months. I would say maybe not a half a year, but 3 to 5 months. So it also depends drastically on how much weight you're looking to lose. But I mean, look, you got to be patient with body recomp because it's one of those things that if you're going to embark on it and do it, I would encourage people to make it a lifestyle. Make it a lifestyle. Make doing 4 to 5 watts per week a lifestyle. Make doing another 2 to 3 days of strength training a lifestyle. Make sleeping 8+ hours a lifestyle. Make eating 110% of your TDEE and eating enough throughout the day, and especially making sure you get adequate levels of protein a lifestyle. This has to become a lifestyle. If not, it's going to be really hard because if you're not building habits with it, it's always going to feel like it's dragging you down. Oh, I got to sleep 8 hours tonight. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to eat enough protein. You got to build it into your lifestyle. If not, it's going to be super, super difficult, right? So in terms of body recomp, I do have a body recomposition guide that I'm giving away entirely for free. It goes over some of the different pillars I kind of went over body recomp, the difficulty of it, why I like it, and then what you can do to achieve it. Okay. So if you guys want access to that, go ahead and comment 2023. This is going to be our special 2023 guide. So we'll know commenting 2023, what you're looking to accomplish. And then look, if you're in 2023, you haven't found that program that you're going to follow, that coach you're going to work with, and you know that you want to put into action some of these goals. It's one of your New Year's resolutions to really get better this year, get fitter this year. Go ahead and shoot me a message. Shoot me a DM. See if you qualify for one of our programs. We have a number of one-on-one coaching programs that we have open right now. You do have to qualify because we don't have a ridiculously unlimited amount of spots, but you need to, make sure that you're ready to commit to something new. And if you want to quit tracking macros and look like you CrossFit, you're in the right place listening to this podcast and possibly in the right place seeing if me and my team can help you. Right. So I appreciate you guys. This is a cool time for me. I'm actually running live on Facebook and I'm running live on YouTube for the first time. So pretty excited about that. And if you guys have any questions, just keep me posted. I'm very excited for the new year and for you guys to see the results that you're looking for, and you deserve it. If you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week, you deserve results. So don't sit around too long waiting for something to happen. You have to take action. All right. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. If you have any questions, let me know and we'll talk soon.